Hello once again, YouTube. This is Meme Skull Cards, and I'm back with another deck profile. This time, this is the updated Dark World deck post Duelist Nexus. As some of you may know, or all of you, we got the card Dark Corridor, and initially I was playing it at 2, but since it's not searchable, it is a hard once per turn, but you want to see it, so I play it at 3. And the extra deck got a bit of an update since the last time, and I have a bit of a side deck here. So let's go ahead and start things off with the main deck. For the monsters, we're playing 2 Rainbow, Over King of the Dark World. This guy searches you your level 5 or higher Dark World monsters. So in my case, it's going to search the Silva, and it's going to search Grapha. And he can return himself from the graveyard by bouncing back a level 7 or lower Dark World monster. So you can't do it on himself, and you can't return Grapha, unfortunately. But that would have made him too broken. So, yeah. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Grapha. So one of our big boss monsters of the deck. He has a similar effect where he could bounce back one face-up Dark World monster, not just any. It's not restricted by any levels or anything, and he can bring himself back from the graveyard. And he also pops a card on the field when he's discarded. If he's discarded. Next, we have our 3 Snow. This is the searcher of our deck. It can search anything that has Dark World in the name. Unfortunately, that does not include Dark Corridor. Next, we're playing 3 Genta. This is our field spell searcher. You almost always want to see this in your hand. And then you discard it, add the field spell, use the field spell to banish this guy, and you get a free body on board and another card in hand. Next, we're playing 2 copies of Silva. Useful for hand looping. That's what I try to go for in this version of the deck. Combos very well with Ceruli, which helps us with the hand loop. And for the 1-of Dark World monsters, we're playing 1 Brow and 1 Beige. 1's an extra draw. If discarded by our opponent, that's 2 draws. This guy's just an extra body. Or a free body. Next, we're playing 2 for the Bigfoot package. My bad. We play 2 Bigfoots. One of the best. Similar effect to Grapha, where he pops a card on field. If he's discarded, 1 face-up card your opponent controls on field. 1 Danger Thunderbird. This pops 1 set card your opponent controls if discarded. And all of them draw a card if they are special summoned by their own effects. 1 Danger Nessie. I was playing this at 2. I decided to drop it down to 1 along with the Mothman. Just in theory, because like let's say I don't want to see multiples of these guys in my hand, and yeah, it would like limit the chances of my opponent picking the same card, I guess. But yeah, 1 Danger Nessie. If he's discarded, add 1 danger monster from our deck to our hand except for Nessie. 1 Chupacabra. If he's discarded, target 1 danger monster in grave except for Chupacabra, and then special summon it. And there's the train. 1 Mothman. If this is discarded, it acts like Dark World Dealings. 1 Jackalope. If he's discarded, special summon 1 danger monster from your deck in offense position except for Jackalope. And then 1 of the Snake. If he's discarded, you can special summon this card. And for our last 2 monsters that aren't dangers or Dark Worlds, playing 1 Salamander Catalyzer. Reveal him and one fiend monster in our hands. But summon one of them, discard the other. And when a monster is destroyed by battle involving your fiend monster, while this card is in the grave, you can add this back. And then one Zephyros the Elite to bounce back your field spell. And yeah, to pop off. Next, we're playing 3 copies of the Gates of Dark World. This is basically the card that you want to see off of Genta, and helps you go through your deck a bit faster. And the new card, 3 Dark Corridor. This card is what you want to see. This adds you 1 Dark World monster from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. It's a hard once per turn, but that effect is really good because you could add Ceruli, and if you have Ceruli in hand, add Silva, and then discard the Ceruli, and you loop your opponent for 2. I was able to loop my opponent for 4 cards thanks to Dark Corridor. So yeah, they're really good. Next, we're playing 3 Allure. Again, more draw power, and it's useful if, say, you have a Genta in hand and you don't have any means of like banishing the Genta, and you only have Allure. There you go. You have 1 Ascension. This is your fusion spell. 1 Archives, just to get you some extra discards or an extra draw power. And 1 Card Destruction, very useful in this deck, but it does discard for your opponent. So I would not play this in a mirror match. Usually slide it out. But yeah. And then one of the best cards, Skill Drain. 3 copies of it. You can activate this card by paying 1,000 life points. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters while they are face-up on the field. But their effects can still be activated. So basically, most of our Dark World's effects activate in the grave, and that doesn't really affect us as much. So basically, you shut your opponent out while you're doing all your stuff. And lastly, 1 Dark World Punishment. I just wanted to test out with this card. Monster or monsters would be normal or special summoning. You can negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster or monsters. Then discard 1 Fiend monster. So you always have to make sure you have a Fiend monster in hand to use this. If a Dark World monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So it stops summons and it gives protection. So it's really good. Okay, and that rounds up the main deck. Now moving on to the extra deck. We're playing 3 of the Fusion, Garafa, Dragon Overlord of Dark World. It's really good. Basically, it doesn't really negate your opponent's card effect. More so, it changes them to make you discard. So that this is also another means of like trying to hand loop them and whatnot. 1 number 38, spell negation and attack manipulation. You just cause your opponent's monsters to swing at him instead. Baguska to lock out your opponent, along with Abyss Dweller, lock them out of their grave. This is really good in a mirror match. 1 number 60. The skipping the draw phase effect is really good because it allows you to draw 2 cards and then discard 1 card, and that's really useful. 1 Coach King Giant Trainer. I finally got my hands on one. He needs 3 level 8s. You detach 1 material from this card, draw 1 card, reveal it, then if it was a monster, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. You cannot conduct your battle phase this turn you activate this effect. You're most likely gonna, if you're going first, you're most likely gonna be going into this guy, so that won't matter. You can only use the effect of Coach King Giant Trainer up to thrice per turn. So at most, you're getting off 2,400 damage and 3 additional cards in hand. 1 Akatsuki Magician, useful for bouncing stuff back. Same with Security Dragon. Then we have Muckraker of the Underworld. Basically, this helps us for recursion. Bring back a monster in case we need it. Say we have a Grapha Engrave and another Darkworld monster. Bring back the other Darkworld monster, bounce it back, bring back the Grapha. There you go. IP Masquerena, very useful in tangent with Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This just allows us to use one monster our opponent controls as material, which is always really good. One Skull Dread. You could easily get into this in this deck, and it helps you cycle through your deck even more. One Appaloosa and one Access Code Talker to round up the extra deck. And lastly, for the side deck, we're playing 2 copies of Lava Golem. You most of the time you never normal summon in this deck, so this is not that big of a deal. But sometimes there are cases where you end up needing to normal summon. So sometimes I don't usually put them in unless necessary. Then we're playing 3 Cosmic Cyclone and 1 Harpies. Back row, you don't like it. 3 Dark Ruler No More. Shut off your opponent's board. Along with the evenly match, these go side by side. And then 3 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. It's always a good card to have in a deck where you can get dark monsters with 2500 or more attack. It's very useful. And then you call spells or monsters and you empty out your opponent's hand. So yeah, that rounds up the updated deck profile for Dark Worlds. So if you enjoyed the video, have any suggestions to make or recommendations on what I should add or revise, let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.